And good evening and welcome to the Coach Mark Schmidt Show. We're on 95.7 WPIG as we are going to talk about the first two games of the season and also look ahead to what's coming up this weekend. Coach, a couple of games since we last talked, and it was the exhibition game against Alfred, and then Monday night it was the game against St. Francis of Pennsylvania. I mentioned it in the interview we did pregame at the Alfred. It looked like a summer pickup game out there with all the family members out there playing your team.
Yeah, it was. That's the first time that guys play under the lights with the uniforms on. So there's some nervousness. Coach Curran's son was out there, my son was out there, and a lot of guys, from the Olean area. Mm-hmm. But we've been doing this. I think it was the 8th straight year that we've done it, and it's good for them to play in front of a great crowd, and it's good for us to play under the lights, be able to play everybody. And I thought we had some good things. Mm-hmm. We had some bad things we need to work on. But I thought overall, no one got hurt. And we won the game.
Yeah, those are the two most important things with the exhibition game. I talked with a couple of other coaches recently about, you get the choice. You can do 2 preseason scrimmages, or you can do a scrimmage and an actual game.
Yes.
You do both. You mix it up, while some just won't like the Division I competition and do the scrimmages. Talk about your decision to go 1-1.
Yeah, I just think that it's great to do that quote, secret scrimmage, so you can work on a lot of different things, different scenarios and time and score. And, one half you play man-to-man, the second half you play zone. And so you set it up with the other team. But I think it's also important to be able to play under the lights in front of a crowd with the uniforms on, so you can really simulate a game. So we try to do both, and it's worked out well for us. But as you said, some teams will play 2 scrimmages, some teams will play 2 exhibition games. I just like that, format where you can do both. And in that first scrimmage, you try to do a lot of different things, see what works, see what doesn't. But when you play in the exhibition game, that's, you're playing live. It's you don't know what the other team's going to do, and it's more, it simulates the game better.
All right, and with this Alfred team, the game, it was obviously the first chance you had to have your team play, run plays, do the timeouts, pace themselves, whatever. Exactly. So obviously that's important to get in kind of a routine.
No question. Yeah, just, the pregame, warm-ups, how we do things in the locker room, the walk through the day of the game. There's so many things that are involved that you try to get the kids into a rhythm, understanding what is expected. And then when you play the game, it's, every 4 minutes is timeout, and, we're trying to get game ready. And and that's really the final tune-up, and it's the final test before we really figure out who's going to be in the top 8 or 9 and playing those different groups of guys.
All right, the game itself, a great start, and then a kind of a lull, and then the Division I took over from Division III in the second half, but you were able to make some adjustments at halftime after the first half was played.
Yeah, you try to play everybody, and you want to see how those different groups work together. But I thought, we got off to a good start, went into a little bit of a lull from an offensive standpoint. I thought defensively we played decently throughout. But we still got to do a better job rebounding the ball and getting the ball into the paint. And at halftime, we told them, we got to be more aggressive. We relied too much on the jump shot. I think we took 19 threes in the first half. But the second half, we started going downhill. And I always emphasize it's the game of basketball is won in the paint. And you got to get the ball to the paint. And even if you're going to shoot the ball, it's so much easier to shoot it when the ball's coming from inside out. So I thought we did a much better job of attacking the paint, getting to the glass, doing a better job on the offensive backboard, and in the second half we played much better.
All right, very important in this scrimmage because of the 2 freshmen that you're going to be counting on a lot this year with Jan Farrell and Barry Evans getting their feet wet in action, and they showed that they can play at this level.
Yeah, both those guys are going to be really good players, and it's important for those guys to be able to play in an exhibition game, get their nervousness out. But for our whole team, because we're so young, no one ever played other than Justin. Mm-hmm. No one played in the Riley Center. So them experiencing that is important. And just getting into how I coach and how I, do things in the huddle. All those things are so new. And so the more we do it, the better we'll get at it.
All right. Some of the other players, of course, the players you brought in, the transfers, showed they are of Atlantic 10 quality. Kyrell Luke, a solid ball handler, and of course Daryl Banks was your key offensive guy early in that ball game.
Yeah, Daryl did a really good job of getting us off to a good start. Made some jump shots. And Kyrell is really, from a defensive standpoint, can get into people, get some stuff off of steals and deflections and so forth, and he can really get into the paint and create some stuff. I thought both those guys played well. I thought, as you said, Jan and Barry played well. We just got to continue to work. Our 5 men have to come along, and I think they will. But we're just still, it's baby steps. We're still trying to figure out each other. We're still trying to find out, what combinations work. As I've always said, it's a work in progress.
All right, with this team, you've got the 3 centers. You're doing it by committee, as you've said,
yeah.
And different styles of play. Obviously, Chad Benning is he's not as mobile as the other 2, but they're able to do different things for you, and obviously you're going to see that throughout the season where you can mix and match.
Yeah, we're gonna go by committee, and whoever's playing well will play a little bit more. And a lot of it has to do with foul trouble too. Mm-hmm. But I thought Anwar's more athletic. He's not as physical. He has a hard time. He's going to have a hard time, defending big guys in the post. I thought Chad is getting in much better shape. He has a much better back to the basket game than the other 2 guys. And then Max is physical. But I think all 3 of those guys are going to bring something to our team. And we need production. We're not going to get, 20 points and 10 rebounds from one guy. We're trying to get, 12, 15 points, 8, 9, 10 rebounds collectively.
All right. Some of the other players, obviously, Anquan Hill, he's going to be a little bit of a wild card for you because his size and his length, he can work inside, but he's also got a nice shot from the outside.
Yeah, he's transitioning from a 5 to a 4, and that transition's not easy. He's playing more on the perimeter. He's got to guard more on the perimeter. He's going to handle the ball a little bit more. But he's going to be a good player. He's learning. He's getting better. His skills are getting better. His understanding of what's expected is improving. But yeah, he's got length. He's got athleticism. He's going to be a really good player for us as we go forward in the season.
All right, and obviously the one thing that I was impressed with was your team defense. I know there's a few, plays assignments that were missed, but the hands and the quickness and able to get out on and press a team, and the 2 10-second calls and back-to-back possessions, that was impressive.
Yeah, we did a decent job of getting our hands on the ball, really faking at the ball and jumping back, and our 1-2-2 3/4 court press was effective. That's what you alluded to with the 2 10-second calls. I always say it's like offense is fickle, you never know. But defense is your staple, and that's where we have to be really good at, especially in the half court. And I thought in the second half we got much better against Alfred, and we got to continue to do that.
Yeah, I've noticed, the one thing that I noticed, a lot of passes got deflected,
Yeah.
or at least bothered to the point where you caused the turnovers. And I think that we mentioned it last year, the points off turnovers going to be a big stat for you this year.
It's huge. In order, when you get steals, now you're attacking with numbers. And when you're attacking with numbers, now you're in open court, now your athleticism takes over. And it's hard to score against teams 5-on-5. You always want to try to get numbers. And, from a defensive standpoint, you want to get back and force a 5-on-5 game. From an offensive standpoint, you want to get numbers. And you get numbers by having them take bad shots or getting turnovers. And I thought our Division I athleticism, really took over in the second half, and that's, why we're getting deflections.
And the one thing with that situation, the fact that your team looks like they're more comfortable getting out and running right now, trying to still learn your system. It's easier to get a deflection and run down the court than it is to set up an offense. That's
what I tell them. If you want to run 100 plays, let the ball go in the basket and we'll walk it up and run 100 plays. But if you want to get up and down and not have to run plays, then the transition is big, and getting things off of turnovers, bad shots, long rebounds, getting out in transition. That's when we're at our best.
All right, we're going to take a break. We'll come back and talk about the St. Francis game here in a couple of minutes. Our show brought to you by 4 Mile Brewing in Olean, and don't forget they've got some great events coming up, including Friday when they have the Bard Brothers at 7 o'clock. We'll be back with more in just a moment on 95.7 The Big Pig.
Jordan knows he shouldn't eat this entire bowl of nachos, but tonight he's earned that right. Because a few hours ago in the middle of happy hour, he recognized a sign. Not from the gods or a bolt of lightning, but from a double heart, a kissy face, and a fourth ha in ha ha ha. That's when Jordan knew he was buzzed. So when it was time to go, he got a ride home instead of driving. Be a legend like Jordan. Recognize your buzzed warning signs and get a ride home. Buzz driving is drunk driving.
Baby, you see, I cannot set you free. My lonely days are gone. That's why I'm never gonna let you go. Never gonna let you go. Babe, I'm never gonna let you go. No, never gonna let you go.
Here you go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Never gonna let you go. Never gonna let you go.
When I got the opportunity to get her, there wasn't no choice. I told myself, I'm gonna take custody of my daughter. It's my baby. That's what we're supposed to do as men. Take care of our home, build a foundation, you know what I'm saying? Love, our money, she's my purpose. I'm here to walk with her, hold her hand until she can walk alone. Ain't nothing like being a father in this world.
And we are back on the Coach Mark Schmidt Show on a Thursday night, brought to you by 4 Mile Brewing of Olean. Of course, the exhibition game out of the way last week, and Monday night it was the opening of the season. 397 Division I games played last night between the men's and women's, and it was a busy night for anybody trying to keep score for the major sports outlets. But obviously, the one game that you were concerned with most, St. Francis, and you're going to see this a lot this year because of the newness of your team. You played a team that had 8 of their 9 returning players, the key players back from last year. So it was the program experience against the program inexperience in this ball game, and you got off to a great start. And the one thing I wanted to talk about, what a nice reception you got from the crowd as you got the game going.
Yeah, it was a great crowd. They had a great tribute for Bob at the beginning of the game, which was really, really nice and well-deserved. But I thought the crowd was really into it. Great students. They were really supportive. Got off to a great start. We shot the ball well. We were defending well. I believe we got up by 12 or 13. And I looked up. It was 27-17 with 9 minutes and 48 seconds left. And then I looked up, and it was 27-27 with a minute left. We didn't score a basket in like 8.5 minutes. You go through those lulls, and that's why defense is so important. Because those. And I watched the tape this morning, and we had some open shots, we had some missed foul shots, but if your defense isn't there, that's when you can get blown out. And I thought our defense wasn't great, but it kept us in the game. At halftime I think it was 32-32.
Mm-hmm.
And we didn't do a good job, with the big guy inside. We didn't do a good job on baseline out of bounds, and we really harp on that. That's like the kicking game in football, and that's something we really stress, and we didn't do a good job on that. And that's, some lack of experience. And they took the ball, they got more points in the paint. They out-rebounded us. We weren't aggressive in the last 9 minutes. We sat down at halftime, and we talked about what we needed to do. And as I said earlier, you have to live in the paint. The team that gets the ball in the paint, scores in the paint, is the team that's going to win. And they had us by 4, I think, at halftime, and I think we had 32 points in the paint in the second half.
Right.
So we were much more aggressive, and I thought Kyrell played extremely well getting the ball into the paint. I did a better job on the offensive glass. Barry, I think, had 4 or 5 offensive rebounds. Played much better in the second half. We got some. I thought Chad was a big factor in the second half. We put him in to start the second half, and ran a play to get the ball inside, just to re-emphasize to our guys this is where the ball needs to go. And it's not always a pass; it can be a dribble as well. But I thought those 3 guys did extremely well for us, and it was a good victory. It's like as you said, it's we're going to be inexperienced. A lot of teams are going to have much more experience than we have throughout the year. And hopefully we took a positive step in terms of we had some adversity. We fought through it. But we got to continue to get better, and hopefully we'll be playing our best basketball as we go forward.
I thought the key part of the game early in that second half was Kyrell Luke going up against Cohen, their center. A couple of times he was able to isolate on him, and obviously with his speed and quickness, easily beat him to the basket, got a couple of easy scores, and then when they did finally come after him, then he was able to kick it to another guy.
Yeah, we did a decent job. The high ball screen, it's really hard to keep him in front, and he has a nice pull-up game. He can get to the rim. He's athletic. I thought we had a couple where Cohen showed a lot, and then we got the ball to Anwar for a couple of layups and dunks. I thought we executed decently. We're a much better team in the open court when the game is going up and down. We're not as good now, in the set offense. We're still unsure of what we're doing, and that's something we have to continue to work on. But I thought we did a better job on Cohen in the second half. The kid Lane is a good player. I thought we did a much better job on him. But we were much more aggressive. We got the ball out of the paint. We got the ball to the paint offensively. We got to the offensive glass. We shot our foul shots a little bit better in the second half. That's something we need to continue to improve on. But overall, it was a good victory. You always want to win, and we didn't play great. There's stuff that we can learn from it, but it's always better to teach when you're coming off a win than a loss.
Yes, and your rebounding totals, you went from -2 or -4 to +2 in that second half, and the battling on the boards, you can see the players. Obviously, your length is going to be a big factor this year. If your guys can stay in there, stay aggressive. And do it without fouling.
We're not the biggest team, in terms of physicality. We got some length. Our guards aren't really big. So we got to do a good job of blocking out and 5 guys having to rebound. It's not going to be one guy that's going to get 15 rebounds. We got to do it collectively. But it's fundamentals. Is if you can keep the ball out of the paint, and that will, you're not going to have as many closeouts and rotations, and then you're able to block out your guy. Once you get rotations and dribble penetration, now you're scattered, and now it's hard to get back and rebound the ball. And we got to do a better job offensively too, getting to the glass. I thought Barry did a really good job, but we got to get other guys doing that job as well.
Speaking of Barry, his court sense last night is something that you look at when you're recruiting a player. The basketball smarts, not the athletic or academic intelligence, but on the floor. He just seemed to be where he needed to be at the perfect time.
Yeah, he's got good instincts. We can take credit for it as coaches, but that's not. We don't teach instincts. He has it. Just like at the end of the game when he stole that ball, he probably shouldn't have gone, but he saw the guys back to him. He has really good instincts, and when you have good instincts and good athleticism, good quickness, then positive things will happen. He's going to be a really good player. Once his jump shot is not there yet, but once his jump shot gets there, he has a motor. He plays hard. He's really active, and he loves to play. He likes to compete. And he's serious about it, and that's what we like as coaches.
All right, one more stat, the turnovers. Only 7 for the game last night, so you did a great job of taking care of the basketball, which is a key.
That's huge. You talk about, transition. You want to have great transition defense, and how you do that is you have good offense and you have good floor balance. If you're turning the ball over, then there's no defense. I tell the team all the time, if you're going to turn it over, throw it up into the crowd. Don't have live ball turnovers. And I thought we did a much better job of, from the Alfred game to this game of cherishing the ball more. And if we can keep our goal is to keep the turnovers below 10. And we did a good job. You want to have like 2-to-1 assist turnover ratio, and I thought we did that last night.
Yeah, I think maybe 2 of those turnovers were the offensive screens.
Yeah, and that's the other. Yeah, yes, it's not turning the ball over in terms of giving them the ball. It's we got to do a better job. Our guards aren't waiting long enough. They're going too fast, and they're putting the big guy in a predicament. So something that we got to work on.
All right, I think all teams work on that because it seems to be an official's favorite call these days.
That's an emphasis. You got to be set, and any time it's close, I would never want to be a big guy because the big guy always gets picked on.
Yep.
Always. It's and that's something when a big guy's out in the middle of the court, the referee sees it, and it's unfair at times. Watching the tape, there was one that was illegal for sure. And they probably missed a couple, but then there was one that wasn't, But if it's close, they're not going to get the benefit of the doubt. That's just how it is, and that's why it's not great to be a big guy when you're setting ball screens on the perimeter.
All right, 1-0. You got a game Saturday night at Canisius, a rivalry for the alums. Your guys probably have to be told about how long this series has
It's really
gone.
interesting, Gary. It's I think since the Bonaventure joined the Atlantic 10. The Atlantic 10 is like the games for the younger generation. Back in the playing Xavier or Temple or, now it's VCU or Dayton. But for the older generation, forget about the Atlantic 10. It's Niagara and Canisius.
Yes.
That's all they matter. You talk to all these old guys, you can't lose to Canisius or Niagara. And forget about Buffalo because that's a whole different thing, But it's those two because I think Canisius, we've played Canisius most of any school ever, 170, whatever it is. So it's always a great game. The schools get along. It's always competitive, and hopefully we can play well on Saturday.
All right, and they're going to be ready for you because they picked up a loss on their opening night, and they're in the same situation you are. They got a lot of new teams, not a lot of new players on that team.
Yeah, very similar to us. They lost some guys in the whole transfer portal, but it's a rivalry game. Throw out the records. Even if one team was 0-10, the other one was undefeated. It's going to be a tight, close game, and it always is. And you go down there and play in the small gym where everybody's right on top of you. Our guys. We got to talk to our guys about the importance of the game, the rivalry. They don't understand it, but the older alums certainly do, and they remind me all the time.
All right, and at that point, let's take another break, and we'll be back with our closing thoughts in just a moment. You're listening to The Mark Schmidt Show on 95.7 WPIG. We're back on the Coach Mark Schmidt Show. We want to remind fans about the next home game for Bonaventure fans at Riley Center. It's going to be on Saturday, November 19th, a 2 o'clock game against Bowling Green. And the Bona Alumni Association has set up a special Slam Jam pregame tailgate party. If you want to go to that, you have to register and go to sbu.edu/alumni. Find out more about the tailgate party. I won't be able to make it.
Can the coaches go to that?
They probably would love it if
Hopefully
you
the
showed
players
up there.
won't. Hopefully the players won't.
All right, let's talk about something. I had the opportunity to talk with Athletic Director Joe Manhertz Monday night at halftime about the capital project that is going on right now at St. Bonaventure. It's a very ambitious program, and the sports program, the athletic department, is going to be one of the big beneficiaries. All sports, not just basketball, but trying to get everything up to what they consider a Division I level.
Yeah.
And obviously, college basketball is the big sport here at St. Bonaventure, and the beneficiaries, as far as you go, they're trying to get that new strength and conditioning building going, the training, and also a practice facility for you.
It's so important. I think nowadays, everybody gets caught up in the NIL and all that stuff, but facilities are still so important. And the Riley Center is great. When the crowd is there and it's a sold out, it's a great venue. But when you bring kids in and you show them when nobody's in the stands, it's different. It's old. The locker room, the weight room, and all the guys, we've had a lot of success with this venue and with this weight room and with the locker room. But as we go forward, it's like the facilities have to be improved. And that's, having a new strength and conditioning, not just for basketball, but for all student athletes is critically important. People come up there and they want to see, when you see a really good weight room, that means there's a commitment to winning. When you see a nice locker room, that's a commitment to winning. When you see an auxiliary gym, that's a commitment to winning. And that's what we need. We have a lot of things that go on in the Riley Center. Graduations, the inauguration of the president, high school games. And when that happens, we have to go over to the Richter Center. And the Richter Center is not 94 feet. It's the rims aren't 10 feet. We need something that we're able to go when there's things that are going on in the Riley Center, or that now they can use the Riley Center for something else. We have a place to go. That's our own. Every school, I think every school but 2 schools in the Atlantic 10 have an auxiliary gym, and it's an arms race. It's in terms of recruiting, when kids come, they want to see a nice locker room, a good weight room, an auxiliary gym that is really nice, and it's something that the school has been pushing, and now we're in the midst of fundraising, and we're excited about it. It's almost like the next step in elevating our athletic department.
Yeah, and again, you look at the influx of student athletes into St. Bonaventure now at 375, so about a third, well, actually about a sixth of the entire student population is playing some sort of Division I sport.
Exactly, and if you're able to get a new weight room, that's for everybody, and better nutrition and a bigger training room. All of that is going to be helping our student athletes achieve. And every team wants to win, wants to be competitive, and I think with this capital campaign, I think with the new facilities, it's going to really help us.
All right, so we are out of time, and I think our next broadcast is going to be December 1st. We've got a few games to play between now and then, but we'll, of course, check back with you, and coming up on Thursday, December 1st, will be our next Coach Mark Schmidt Show, brought to you by 4 Mile Brewing. Have a great evening.